You've probably spent a fortune on serums promising cellular regeneration, only to end up with another overpriced peptide blend that does exactly what a $12 niacinamide serum could have done. There's real science behind bioregenerative skincare, Bakuchiol that actually modulates collagen genes, growth factors that trigger legitimate cell signaling, plant stem cells delivering concentrated phytochemicals, but separating the genuine innovation from the $200 markup requires understanding what's actually happening at the molecular level. I'm Dr. Elena Voss, and I'm going to walk you through exactly how these actives work and where you can find them without the luxury tax.
You're listening to Luxury Beauty on a Budget podcast. Quick note before we dive in. Everything you hear is researched and written by real humans with actual credentials, but the voice delivering it is AI generated, which lets us get you this information faster and more consistently. Seriously appreciate everyone who listens regularly. It's wild to think about how many of you are out there making smarter skincare decisions because of these episodes. And if this is your first time here, you've landed in the right place. We release new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, breaking down what's actually worth buying and what's just overpriced nonsense. Today, we're talking about bioregenerative skincare, Bakuchiol, epidermal growth factor, plant stem cells, what they actually do at the molecular level, and where you can find them without the luxury markup. Let's jump in. Bioregenerative skin technology comes down to this: ingredients that don't just resurface or protect skin, but actively signal your cells to behave younger. We're talking about compounds that trigger collagen synthesis, accelerate cell turnover, and modulate inflammatory pathways at the genetic level. Bakuchiol, epidermal growth factor, and plant stem cell extracts represent three distinct molecular approaches to cellular regeneration, and they're showing up in formulations at every price point. Understanding how this technology actually functions helps you separate genuine innovation from rebranded peptide serums with a massive markup. So what is bioregenerative skin technology? It refers to topical actives that influence cellular behavior through signaling pathways rather than mechanical action. Unlike physical exfoliants or occlusive moisturizers, these compounds interact with cell receptors to initiate specific biological responses. There are three primary mechanisms. First, gene expression modulation. Bakuchiol upregulates collagen genes without triggering retinoid receptors. Second, growth factor signaling. EGF binds to epidermal growth receptors to accelerate keratinocyte proliferation. And third, phytochemical signaling. Plant stem cell extracts deliver secondary metabolites that influence human cell behavior through conserved biological pathways. This differs fundamentally from traditional anti-aging actives. Retinol converts to retinoic acid and binds nuclear receptors. Vitamin C donates electrons to stabilize free radicals. Both valuable, but they work through direct chemical action rather than cellular communication. The distinction matters because bioregenerative actives theoretically offer targeted results with reduced irritation. A 0.5% Bakuchiol serum won't cause the photosensitivity of 0.5% retinol, yet published studies show comparable collagen density improvements over 12 weeks. That's the promise of bioregenerative skincare: smarter molecules, not just stronger concentrations. Now let's talk about how bioregenerative skin technology actually works, starting with Bakuchiol. Bakuchiol is a meroterpene phenol extracted from Soralea coralifolia seeds. Its molecular structure bears zero resemblance to retinoids, yet it produces similar outcomes through parallel pathways. Here's the molecular reality. Bakuchiol doesn't activate retinoic acid receptors. Instead, it increases mRNA expression of collagen types 1, 3, and 4 through AP1 transcription factor pathways.
A 2018 British Journal of Dermatology study demonstrated that 0.5% Bakuchiol applied twice daily matched 0.5% retinol for wrinkle reduction and hyperpigmentation, with significantly less scaling and stinging. The catch? Bakuchiol oxidizes rapidly when exposed to light and air. Formulations require antioxidant systems, typically vitamin E at 0.5 to 1%, and opaque packaging. Budget brands often skip this. You'll find Bakuchiol listed third or fourth in ingredient decks, stored in clear dropper bottles that guarantee degradation within 60 days of opening. Let's talk concentration benchmarks. 0.5 to 1% is the clinically effective range for collagen stimulation. 2% is the upper limit in most commercial formulations. Higher percentages don't improve efficacy. Anything under 0.1% is a marketing dose, insufficient for measurable results. Moving on to epidermal growth factor. EGF is a 53 amino acid polypeptide that binds to EGFR on keratinocyte surfaces, triggering tyrosine kinase cascades that accelerate cell division and migration. This is wound healing biology repurposed for anti-aging. Clinical verdict. EGF works when formulated correctly, but molecular weight and stability create formulation challenges. The peptide must remain intact, molecular weight around 6 kilodaltons, and reach viable epidermis. Most budget formulations use EGF analogs or plant-derived EGF-like peptides that may or may not share the same receptor affinity. Legitimate EGF serums contain 0.1 to 1 parts per million of recombinant human EGF, often derived from barley or yeast fermentation. Korean manufacturers dominate this category. Brands like Benton and Cos de Baja deliver REGF at concentrations comparable to $300 prestige alternatives, typically around $25 to $40 per ounce versus $15 to $20 per ounce for luxury options. The controversy. Some dermatologists express concern about chronic growth factor application potentially promoting abnormal cell proliferation. Current evidence doesn't support carcinogenic risk from topical EGF, but if you have a personal or family history of skin cancer, peptides and Bakuchiol offer safer alternatives. Now let's address plant stem cell extracts. Plant stem cells don't become human stem cells. That's biologically impossible. What these extracts do provide is a concentrated cocktail of secondary metabolites, phenolic compounds, growth hormones, and antioxidants that influence human cell behavior through conserved signaling pathways. Common sources include lilac stem cells, which are rich in verbiscicide, an antioxidant that modulates inflammatory pathways. Edelweiss stem cells contain leontopoic acid, shown to protect fibroblasts from UV-induced senescence, and apple stem cells are high in phytohormones, called cytokinins, that may prolong epidermal stem cell longevity. The extraction process matters enormously. Phytocell technology uses callus culture, undifferentiated plant cells grown in sterile conditions to maximize active compound concentration. Budget brands often use whole plant extracts or leaf powers and call them stem cells, delivering negligible phytochemicals. Effective concentrations run from 0.5 to 2% of a proper callus extract. Check for Phytocell Tech, Dermacell, or similar proprietary extraction technologies in the ingredient list. Generic apple fruit extract won't cut it. So why does bioregenerative technology matter? The practical advantage comes down to tolerance and precision. Traditional anti-aging actives force cellular turnover through controlled damage, retinoids, acids, or mass antioxidant defense like vitamin C and E. Bioregenerative actives theoretically achieve similar outcomes by working with cellular communication systems rather than overwhelming them. Here are the real-world implications. You can layer bioregenerative serums with chemical exfoliants without the cumulative irritation that makes tretinoin plus AHAs unbearable for most skin types. A routine combining 10% lactic acid, 1% Bakuchiol, and plant stem cell extracts delivers multi-pathway anti-aging without barrier disruption. This becomes critical for reactive skin types, rosacea, eczema, chronic dehydration, that can't tolerate standard retinoid protocols. A bioregenerative skincare routine lets you pursue cellular renewal without triggering inflammatory cascades. Let's talk about the types and variations in bioregenerative formulations, starting with Bakuchiol-based serums. The formulation variables that matter include whether it's oil or water-based. Bakuchiol's lipophilic structure means it penetrates better in oil or emulsion systems. Pure water-based serums require solubilizers that may reduce efficacy. Look for antioxidant cofactors, vitamin E at 0.5% or higher, and ferulic acid at 0.1 to 0.5% to prevent oxidative degradation. And consider combination actives. Bakuchiol plus niacinamide at 3 to 5% offers complementary benefits, gene expression modulation plus barrier support. Budget benchmark. The Inky List Bakuchiol Moisturizer, $12 for 1 ounce. Delivers 1% Bakuchiol with squalene and ceramides. Texture is light-medium cream, absorbs in 60 to 90 seconds, works across skin types. Compared to Biossance Squalene plus Phytoretinol Serum, $72 for 1 ounce, same Bakuchiol concentration, near identical squalene base, you're paying $60 extra for packaging and marketing. Check the link below to see the current price. Moving on to growth factor serums, molecular weight considerations are critical. True EGF sits around 6 kilodaltons. Some growth factor complexes use larger peptides, 20 to 30 kilodaltons, that can't penetrate past the stratum corneum. Check for recombinant human EGF or oligopeptide 1, which is an EGF analog, specifically. Stabilization systems matter because growth factors degrade rapidly in water. Quality formulations use lyophilized or freeze-dried powder that you mix with an activator serum or anhydrous bases with minimal water content. Budget option? Cos de Baja Epidermal Growth Factor Serum, $18 for 1 ounce. Uses barley-derived rhEGF at 1 part per million in a hyaluronic acid base. Manufactured in Korea, where biotech fermentation infrastructure is mature. Texture is thin gel, layers well under moisturizer. The bottle is basic plastic with a questionable dropper mechanism. Expect some product waste, but the formulation itself matches clinical benchmarks. Check the link below to see the current price. Now let's talk about plant stem cell concentrates. The extract quality hierarchy starts with callus culture extracts, like PhytoCell Tech, which offer the highest active concentration. Supercritical CO2 extracts provide good preservation of volatile compounds. Whole plant extracts deliver minimal actives, and powdered plant material is essentially ineffective for stem cell claims. Texture and delivery. Most plant stem cell products come in emulsion form, creams or lotions, because the extracts are water-soluble. Serums work too, but you'll see them combined with hydrators like glycerin or hyaluronic acid. Budget benchmark? Acure Radically Rejuvenating Day Cream, $18 for 1.75 ounces, uses Argania spinosa, or argon, stem cells at around 1%, combined with chlorella and edelweiss extracts. Manufactured in Korea, where biotech fermentation infrastructure is mature. Texture is thin gel, layers well under moisturizer. The bottle is basic plastic with a questionable dropper mechanism. Expect some product waste, but the formulation itself matches clinical benchmarks. Check the link below to see the current price. Now let's talk about plant stem cell concentrates.
The extract quality hierarchy starts with callus culture extracts, like phytocell tech, which offer the highest active concentration. Supercritical CO2 extracts provide good preservation of volatile compounds. Whole plant extracts deliver minimal actives, and powdered plant material is essentially ineffective for stem cell claims. Texture and delivery. Most plant stem cell products come in emulsion form, creams or lotions, because the extracts are water-soluble. Serums work too, but you'll see them combined with hydrators like glycerin or hyaluronic acid. Budget benchmark? A Cure Radically Rejuvenating Day Cream, $18 for 1.75 ounces, uses Argania spinosa, or argon, stem cells at around 1% combined with chlorella and edelweiss extracts. Manufactured in Korea, where biotech fermentation infrastructure is mature. Texture is thin gel, layers well under moisturizer. The bottle is basic plastic with a questionable dropper mechanism. Expect some product waste. But the formulation itself matches clinical benchmarks. Check the link below to see the current price. Is Bakuchiol really as effective as retinol for anti-aging? Bakuchiol produces comparable improvements in fine lines and collagen density over 12 weeks at 0.5 to 1% concentration, based on published clinical trials, but works through different molecular pathways that avoid retinoid receptor activation. You won't see the dramatic cell turnover and potential irritation of tretinoin, which means gentler results that take slightly longer to manifest. Expect 8 to 12 weeks versus 4 to 6 weeks for prescription retinoids. Can I use EGF serums if I have sensitive skin? Yes. Epidermal growth factor serums are generally well tolerated by sensitive skin because they work through natural cellular signaling rather than forced exfoliation, but avoid formulations with high alcohol content or synthetic fragrance that can trigger irritation independent of the EGF itself. Start with application every other night and monitor for any unexpected breakouts, which occasionally occur when accelerated cell turnover clogs pores in acne-prone individuals. Can plant stem cell extracts actually do anything, or are they just marketing? Plant stem cell extracts deliver bioactive secondary metabolites like phenolic compounds and phytohormones that influence human cell behavior through conserved biological pathways, but only when formulated using proper callus culture extraction methods like phytocell-tech technology at 0.5 to 2% concentration. Generic plant extract listed at the bottom of an ingredient deck won't deliver meaningful phytochemical content. Look for proprietary extraction technology and concentrations high enough to matter. Can I combine bioregenerative serums with retinol or acids? You can layer bioregenerative actives like Bakuchiol, EGF, and plant stem cells with chemical exfoliants and retinoids because they work through complementary pathways rather than competing mechanisms, but introduce products gradually. Add one new active every 2 weeks and monitor for cumulative irritation. Apply acids first on clean skin, wait 15 to 20 minutes, then follow with bioregenerative serums and moisturizer to maximize penetration while minimizing barrier disruption. How long does it take to see results from bioregenerative skincare? Bioregenerative actives typically require 8 to 12 weeks of consistent twice-daily application to produce visible improvements in collagen density, fine lines, and skin texture because they work through gentle cellular signaling rather than forced turnover that creates immediate flaking and fresh cell exposure. This timeline aligns with the natural epidermal renewal cycle, 28 to 40 days, multiplied by several complete cycles to accumulate measurable structural changes in the dermal matrix. Let me wrap this up. Bioregenerative skin technology centers on 3 molecular strategies: Bakuchiol's gene expression modulation without retinoid receptors, EGFs direct growth factor signaling through EGFR pathways, and plant stem cell extracts delivering phytochemicals that influence human cellular behavior. These actives offer genuine anti-aging benefits, comparable collagen stimulation to retinoids in clinical trials, with significantly reduced irritation potential, making them ideal for sensitive skin or layering with chemical exfoliants. The budget advantage is substantial. Korean and European manufacturers use identical raw materials to prestige brands at 1/10 the price per ounce. Focus on active percentages, half to 1% Bakuchiol, 0.1 to 1 parts per million REGF, half to 2% stem cell extracts, proper stabilization systems and extraction technologies rather than marketing claims. Results require patience, 8 to 12 weeks for visible improvement, but the cellular communication approach delivers targeted renewal without barrier damage. That's it for this episode of Luxury Beauty on a Budget podcast. Thanks for listening. New episodes drop every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so you've always got something fresh to learn. If you're finding this helpful, I genuinely appreciate a 5-star rating and a review. It's one of the main ways people discover the show, and honestly, it helps us keep making these episodes. And definitely subscribe or follow so you get a notification the second a new episode goes live. See you next time.